What if? What if? What if God's answer to human rebellion, corruption, and scattering wasn't an empire, wasn't an army, or even a religion, but one ordinary man who dared to trust him? What if the hope of the world began with a single covenant call to leave everything familiar and follow the living God into the unknown? Today, we open Genesis 12 and discover that Abram's story is not just ancient history. It's your story too. It started in Ur. Order. In what we now call Iraq, or as you might say, Iraq. A glittering center of power, wealth, and pagan religion. But God whispered into the noise of the empires, and one man heard his voice. But what if you could hear it too? What if you could hear that voice too? Welcome. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the new folks. This is True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn. I'm just a follower of the way. I'm a theologian and I'm an author. So let's open the scriptures together. By the way, this episode is brought to you by my book, True Word Faith for Life. I don't get sponsored unless you buy it. And that's on truewordfaithforlife.com under the store. True Word Faith for Life. It was written to help you discover how covenant truth transforms your daily walk. And if you've purchased the book, please consider leaving a review. I want to say hello before we get into the reading. Good evening to Robbie and Miss Sharon and John. We're so appreciative, really eager to have you hear this too. I'm super excited about it. We missed you. We hope you're feeling better. Alarm guy, good afternoon, my brother. Robbie, I'm sorry you've had such a rough go. God bless you. Stay in the fight. And Miss Colleen and all the others. I sure would love it. And thank you to those who are also listening on the Rumble. And thank you, Miss Sharon, for that regarding, hey, Joe, good to see you. I have something for you for your action camera. And I forgot to bring it yesterday, and I apologize, but it's pretty cool. It's brand new. I've never used it. Miss Sharon says on Rumble, excited for this. Almost finished listening to the sermon at Virginia Creek Ministry, and it was excellent. Exactly what I needed to hear. That's a powerful little place right there. Well, you're right. You are right. It is a wonderful place, and Pastor Russell and Miss Kathy and the dear lady who, wow, man, I'm telling you, the lady who owns the campground is dedicating that as a chapel is just unbelievable to me. It's just amazing. Just amazing. So how exciting. So our text today, by the way, real quick, let me just say I changed up the graphics a little bit to make it a little bit easier for you to see. I hope that it is. And let me know if you like it or hate it. And, we'll keep working at it. I want to express my condolences to those who were murdered in Southport and those who were seriously injured, and those also in Grand Blanc is how they pronounce it, Michigan, in the LDS church there. So many were so critically and seriously wounded and terrorized and murdered. It's just horrific. Very, very strange set of circumstances. Within just a matter of 10 days or 6 days, there were 3 attacks by ex-Marines. Something sounds a little bit odd to me about that. I must confess, it's just a little strange. So we pray for them all. God bless them. Abram's call, covenant and redemption. So our text today, And by the way, we're back in our series. Let's just pray no other horrible things come about, and I have to comment on them. But our series is Genesis, Foundations of Covenant and Redemption. Foundations of Covenant and Redemption. So I loved writing this series, and I find that I'm actually rewriting it, a lot of it as I go, because some things I say, oh, I don't know why I put it that way. I want to put it this way, right? That's what I wanted to do. So that's what I want to do. For me, I want to give you my very, very best, but I want to give God my very, very best. And that's what I'm in for. So anyway, Genesis 12, 1 through 20. Believe it or not, I'm going to read it in the King James 1611 Authorized Version, Genesis 12, 1 through 20. And I know a lot of folks are shocked at that, but I'm going to read it in that. There's a reason for it, and we'll see if it becomes obvious to you. All right. Father, bless the reading of your word. May we hear each word as it was intended to be heard and understood. May we have a concept, such a critical concept of why this is so important, not just for then, but for now. We ask this in the name of your Son, Yeshua. Amen. How's the sound, by the way? Let me know. I really depend on that. By the way, if you haven't clicked on follow or subscribe, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. I would encourage you to do that. Clicking on the thumbs up makes a massive difference. Sharing it on your social media or your email list or wherever it is you gather with people. So here we go. Let's step into the world of Abram, or Avraham. Hey, Lynette, good to see you. Love you, sweetheart. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all the substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. They went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the place of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto thy seed I will give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared to him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hai on the east. There he builded an altar unto the Lord, and he called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south, and there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife. And they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, that thou art my sister, that it might be well for me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman that she was very fair. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses and men servants and maidservants and she asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that thou hast done to me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now, therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away and his wife, and all that he had. The inspired word of Adonai, thanks be to God. Now, that was tricky, right? Let's face it, that was tricky. There's nothing easy about that if you're not accustomed to reading the King James Version. It's a bit different. There's some things written differently that are, they're the King's English, and they have their own reasons for that. By the way, good sound. Thank you, Amy. I'm so glad to have you here. You are awesome. So here's some simple. This may seem very much to you as though I read it for you, Lynette. Lynette said, love the King James. I read it for you. Here are some simple but very powerful reasons why Abram's obedience was so incredible in its ancient context. And yes, the Old English, the King's English it's a very different way of communicating for sure. But there are some things in there that aren't quite accurate, but we'll correct them as we go. Because they didn't have the benefit when they were doing that, even though they say, oh yeah, we based it on the ancient Masoretic text, and we had a Hebrew crew, an Aramaic crew, and a Koine Greek crew. Well, the Greek they had fairly decently, but they sure didn't have the Hebrew and Aramaic crew buttoned up. But, there we have it. So, in its ancient context, right, we have to think about where this is, what's happening, the context of the moment. Very likely Abram grew up in a polytheistic environment. In other words, they worshiped multiple little g gods before God called him. And there's a historical and cultural context. There's Ur and Haran. Ur and Haran. Abram was from Ur of the Chaldeans. Ur of the Chaldeans, Genesis 11:28 and 31. Later, he settled in Haran. Both were major centers of moon god worship, Sin in Mesopotamian religion. Sin. Archaeological evidence from Ur indicates the great ziggurat dedicated to the moon god. And Joshua 24:2 explicitly states, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, long ago your fathers lived beyond the Euphrates, Terah, and the father of Abraham and of Nahor, and they served other gods. So this tells us Abram's family practiced idolatry also before God called them. Now, there's theological implications here of a polytheistic environment. Abram would have grown up in a culture saturated with the worship of many gods, particularly the moon god. By the way, maybe some of you don't know this. If this is new to you, let me know. Put it in comments. I'd love to hear that. So God's call, right? When Yahweh, Adonai, spoke, Abram turned away from his ancestral gods, the traditions, the practices, to follow the capital O, one true God. Genesis 12, 1 through 3. His obedience is remarkable because he left not only his homeland, but also the religious system of his ancestors. Now, there was a covenant shift. Abram's call marked a decisive break, moving from polytheism to covenantal monotheism. This is the turning point in salvation history, by the way. You might say, okay, why does this matter? Abram wasn't chosen because he was already worshiping Yahweh faithfully. I don't know. Maybe you've never heard that. Maybe you have. Maybe you had great Sunday school teachers and great pastors and they taught you that. But if it's the first time, there's no shame in that. Abram was not a Jew. I know. And he wasn't chosen because he was already a faithful, God, capital G, Yahweh, Adonai, Elohim, worshiper. No. He was chosen out of God's sovereign grace. His journey from polytheistic roots to covenant faithfulness mirrors God's ability to call people out of darkness into his marvelous light. Write down this, 1 Peter 2:9. 1 Peter 2:9. Let me read that again. Maybe it needs to be repeated. God's ability to call people out of darkness into his marvelous light was highlighted by the fact that Abram came from polytheistic roots into worshiping the one true God. And he entered into covenant. And because of that, we began on the path to salvation. So yes, Abram's background was polytheistic, but the call of God transformed him into the father of faith, leaving Ur. Man, there's so much historical importance here. Ur, in case you're wondering, or it's a Sumerian capital. Ur, or Ur, was one of the greatest cities of Sumer, 3rd century, or 3rd millennium BC. Then the ziggurat of Ur, or Ur, its most famous ruin, is the massive ziggurat, the step temple. Remember, I just talked about it. The Tower of Babel. You remember? That's a ziggurat. Amazing how these things tie together, right? So this is a step temple dedicated to the moon god Nana, or Sin, Nana. So there's a cultural context here too. Abram's call out of Ur. His call out of Ur meant leaving a wealthy, urban, polytheistic center devoted to the moon god for a life of wandering with the unseen God of Israel. Now, I want you to imagine it. There was many cultural and personal conditions here. Leaving everything familiar, Abram was told to leave his land, his extended family, and his father's household, Genesis 12:1. In the ancient Near Eastern world, identity, security, and survival were rooted in clan and the land. Leaving was almost unthinkable. God didn't ask him, hey, this is what I need you to do. I need you to make a layup, in basketball parlance. I need you to shoot a foul shot slightly harder, and also in basketball parlance. I need you to do this. I need you to make a 3-inch putt in golf parlance. Easy peasy. Easy peasy, man. Those things are easy. But in the ancient Near Eastern world, identity, security, and survival, everything was clan and land. God didn't ask him to do something easy. He told him, he said, hey, this is what I want you to do. Leaving unimaginable, unthinkable. Now here's the other thing. There was no clear destination. God didn't name the land only, here it is, to the land that I will show you. What? Land, what? The land that you're going to, so you're going to tell me the land, you're not going to show me a map, picture, whatever, Google Earth. You're not going to show me. You're just going to say, go to this land. Oh, by the way, you're not going to give me a name. I don't even know. You're going to the land that I show. Oh, okay. Abram walked away from security into uncertainty, trusting God's promise. God asked Abram to jump, and Abram asked, how high on the way up? How high do you want me to jump? As he'd already left his feet and in the air. Also, hey, think about this. Abram was 75 years old. Genesis 12:4. In that culture, most men at that stage, they were settled. They weren't uprooting their lives to pioneer new lands. 75 years old. Look, I just turned 60 on the 23rd. I'm here to tell you, by the way, thank you to those who wish me happy birthday and all that. That's super sweet. Super sweet. And those of you who were so kind and generous, come on. I can't even thank you enough. But here's the thing. I'm only almost 60, but I feel like 100 and at least 75. And you think, oh, okay. I'm just going to pick up. Excuse me while I pick up everything. Why are you picking up everything, Abram? Why are you picking up everything? Well, I'm going over to this other place. What other place? Well, the place God told me to go. Well, which God? The moon God? No, not the moon God. No, not the moon God. Well, which God? Adonai, Elohim, Yahweh. Oh. So, where's he telling you to go? To the other place? The other land? The other land. He didn't tell you the name of it? How you gonna know? How you gonna get there? If he's not telling you where this joint is, how you know to get there? Oh, well, he's gonna tell me along the way. He said to the land he's going to show me. Show you. Oh, you should have said that up front. Show you when? Well, as I go. Okay, you have any idea how old you are, Abram? You're 75 years old. You got a place. You got stuff. Got all these people. You're just going. Yeah, going to follow God. Going to do what he said. Unseen promises, my friends. God promised a nation, blessing, and land, but Abram had no children. Sarai was barren, Genesis 11:30, and the land was already occupied by Canaanites, Genesis 12:6. Obeying, by the way, there's a blog post and a study guide. If you want that, go over there to truewordfaithforlife.com. I'll send it to you for free, just under contact. You can either do the microphone, which you only got 2 minutes. And I won't have a way of knowing who you are or where to send it if you do that. I love it. Love hearing people's voices, but you got to give me a way to get a hold of you, or just do the contact thing and type it all out. Be good to go. I had a guy the other day. I think it's a guy. I shouldn't say definitely a guy. If you're listening, I apologize if I called you a guy and you're really a girl. Sent me an email, but did the email wrong. I think transposed some letters, and I've tried to guess, and I can't figure it out. So if you're listening, send me another one. Just really, really look closely and make sure you get it right. Because if it's not right, I won't know, and the computer won't know, and it'll never get to you. But somebody with that email is going to get it and go, what are you doing? Anyway, the land was already occupied by Canaanites. Genesis 12:6, Canaanites. Obeying meant trusting promises with no visible proof. Strike, 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 strike. Right? All of his friends must have looked at him like, yeah, you okay, Abram? You bumped your head, maybe? Didn't duck going into the tent? What happened? What, you have a little angina? Maybe a little bit of Alzheimer's? A little bit of old-timers disease? I don't know. You're acting weird. But he did it. He contradicted culture gods. Abram was leaving a polytheistic culture. Ur and Haran were centers of moon god worship. Obeying Adonai meant rejecting the gods of his ancestors and the stability of cultural religion. You say, well, that's nutty. Who would believe that? There's lots of people around the world that worship 100, 800. There's people in India, in Pakistan, and even in Russia, and many more places that worship multiple gods. Little g. They think we're nuts. Oh, you worship only one. What, was there no sale? You didn't get a sale. It's just one God you got for that. Okay. Right? Blessing the nations. God told Abram that all the families of the earth will be blessed through him. Genesis 12:3. This was staggering. One old man, childless wife, called to carry a world-changing covenant. Don't tell me you don't want to read the Old Testament. Don't tell me you want to read the Old Testament. You don't want to read it. Don't tell me you don't want to read it. This is the wildest thing you've ever heard in your life. This thing with Abram. The craziest story you've ever heard in your life. Oh man, there were challenges along the way. Almost immediately after arriving, Abram faced famine. Genesis 12:10. Oh, this promised land was barren. Maybe this was one of his first prayers. Lord. I don't know if he talked like that. I'm just artistic license. I don't know. I have not gotten my cassette yet. I ordered a cassette of him saying this to God. He recorded it. He had a little recorder. I don't know if that was right. One party country, I don't know what the rules were. But all I know is I don't have the cassette yet. So I'm going to, what I think is what it sounded like. So God, I'm here. The Canaanites and place you told me. I went there. No map, by the way. Thank you for that. And the promised land, not so promising. Barren. Nothing here. Sometimes when we do what God tells us to do, it's never, I'm telling you, almost never the easy path. I have so much respect for pastors who, because a lot of times you'll hear people say, pastors will stand up and say after 5, 6, 7 years that, they've built their resume up at this one church. And so then they, secretly put out the, I might be looking, among the circuit and other places, always bigger churches, always more money, always better benefits. And, and then when they get up to tell the church that that they've been there, all the people, I dangled a participle, not at, I didn't need that, where they are, where they're preaching, where they've been. And they say to the congregation, they always choke out a few tears. I'm so sorry. I've been fighting the calling of the Lord to go to this other church because the Lord's calling us. We don't want to go, but we gotta obey the Lord. And so it'll be in 2 weeks. Sorry to leave you in a lurch. No, I'm so sorry. Not so sorry. Oh, I didn't mention it pays twice as much, maybe only $20,000 more. Oh, no, maybe 15% more. And oh, by the way, they're going to give us a housing allowance, a books allowance, an education allowance. It's going to be 6 weeks of sabbatical every 5 years, paid. The vacation. They got a full staff. I got 2 secretaries. I only got 1 here. You know? It's never for that. It's never for that. This guy, Abram, he does what he's told to do. He goes and he does this thing. He goes to this place that's not named, telling me on the way. He does this promised land, and it was barren. Barren. Not a difficult soil. It was barren. I didn't water enough. Barren. I'm off a little bit on, I got to sweeten it up, and I got to put a little iron in there, a little bit of lime, No, barren. Nothing would grow. His obedience to God did not lead to immediate ease. It led to immediate testing, and that is how it is most often with us. Man, Egypt, right? Tough place then, tough place now. Beautiful place. Beautiful place. I mean to tell you. By the way, I don't want to let you down. Pop a bubble or anything. But if you're going to go see the pyramids, understand that the pictures most people take of the pyramids is from one direction, not the band, the location, one direction, because it's built up around there. It's, they're not out. You're not looking like, oh, wow. It's just the middle of nowhere. It once was the middle of nowhere, but it's not so much anymore. Anyway, Egypt, rough place. Abram feared for his life because of Sarai's beauty. Look, she was so beautiful. Abram said, listen, we got to make this thing up. We got to tell them, you're my sister. Because you're so beautiful, they'll want to take you away. He'll swipe you. Genesis 12, 11 through 13. Even while obeying, he wrestled with fear and weakness, yet God protected him still, and Sarai protected them, showing that the covenant rested on God's faithfulness, not Abraham's perfection. And I say all that to say this. Listen, if you beat up on yourself, you're just steady beating up on yourself over every time you mess up. You're just like, oh, I can't get it right. I do all right for a while and then I fall again. I do that. Stop with that. Stop. Recognize that your efforts are not destroyed. That we fall down and we get up. Saints are just sinners who fall down and get up. That is how it is until we enter into his presence and we are made perfect in his presence. God can still use you. Thank God that the covenant rests on God's faithfulness and not ours. And that's the way it was with Abram. Now, why was this so incredible? Why was this so incredible? I want you to think about this. Abram's obedience was a radical break from cultural security, personal comfort, and human logic. It made no sense. He trusted God's voice above clan, religion, land, wealth, sight, directions, everything. He trusted God above everything that made sense. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that? I've done it. It's super scary. It almost never works out when I go, okay, this is the smart thing to do. It's not what I think God's telling me, but I'm going to do it because it makes more sense. It's going to cost me to do it another way. Verse 1, go from your country, your kindred, and your father's house to the land that I will show you. The Hebrew phrase, lekh-lekha, lekh-lekha, literally means go to yourself or go for your own good. In the ancient Near East, identity wasn't individual. It was rooted in your clan and your father's house and your gods. To leave that was to leave your security, to leave your inheritance, to leave your entire world. And he was leaving it all. God's call to Abram is deeply personal. He's not just moving Abram's address. He's transforming his identity. He's saying, come out from the old world of empire and self-made security into the unknown world of covenant trust. And some of you listening may be feeling that same tug. God's calling you out of your comfort zone, away from the of your life, the old habits, the old identities, the old securities. This isn't just about geography, it's about transformation. But here's the thing, there was a covenant promise. Verses 2 and 3, God promises, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great and you will be a blessing. In Babel, Genesis 11, I just talked about it. The Tower of Babel. I said that it was about more than just new languages and not understanding each other anymore. Humans tried to make a name for themselves, building towers, building brands, building legacies. But here God says, I will make your name great. And covenant is God's counter story to the empire, right? You see the world has empire. God says, let me tell you about covenant. It's not about you clawing for significance. It's not about God giving you a role in his story. Or is it? Listen closely. Covenant is God's counter story to empire. It is not about you clawing for significance. It is about God giving you a role in his story. In history. So what empire are you building? Are you building social media status? Listen, I throw this back on me. I'm trying to do this thing for as long as God keeps me here, this preaching and teaching thing, this YouTube and Rumble and all that. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it well. You guys know I'm trying so hard to deliver excellence in every way, sound, vision, the whole bit. I'm trying to do it all. I'm trying to do all this stuff. And I'm pushing, I'm trying. I'm really giving it my best. I study all week long, literally all week long. My poor dog, my dog's like, hey, how about you put the books down? How about you put the Bible down? Hey, this is a quick walk. Just, down to Pastor Steve's and Miss Stacy, but just right down there. We'll look at the water, come back. Easy. That's all I'm asking. Hour out of your day. Right? I'm in the books. I don't say that for you to feel sorry for me. I'm saying that because sometimes it is exasperating, right? The other night, we had 100 and something people listening live. 100 and some people listening live. I thought, Sunday night. And I'm like, I guess nobody's listening. And I thought, well, maybe I should talk to the people about, I don't know, maybe not doing Sunday. Maybe Sunday's not as interesting to people as I thought. Maybe it's not a good time for them. And I look at our numbers, we lost 770 followers because YouTube demonetized. We were over 4,000 and then YouTube 911. I'm sorry, 700 and some were the other video. 900, then we gained back over 4,000. We've been over 4,000 a couple of times. And I thought, oh man, all those people decided they didn't want to subscribe. Maybe they said, hey, we're done with this guy. Blick. No, I found out why it was. It was YouTube. They demonetized the video, and everyone that signed up as a subscriber while watching that video, poof. We try to do ads on YouTube. They don't like things of the Lord. That's why I'm pushing this Rumble. I don't get anything for pushing Rumble. I'm not on the board at Rumble. I don't get a toaster or any of those things. That's why I push it though, because we can say what we want here. We can't on YouTube. But the social media status, I watched a video today. It was phenomenal. And this guy he talks to the leaders in different fields all the time. He's really quite fascinating man. And he's just like, look, I want to learn. I want to be better. So I want to talk to the CEOs. I want to talk to the leaders in given industries and in areas of expertise. And I want to learn how they did it and what, tell me all about it and all this. I was watching this cardiologist. He's interviewing this cardiologist. I'm trying to figure out, what can I do for myself here? I don't want to just, I don't want to disappear one day for no good reason. I want to be, I want to do what I can do. I looked at the number of people that have watched his video already. It was like 900 and some thousand. It's been on like 10 minutes. And I follow a guy named Peter Santinello, and he posted a video a few weeks ago. It had been up, I want to say 9 minutes, and had 171,000 views. 9 minutes. 171,000. I think about this, and I think, the Joe Rogan interview, undoubtedly he's one of the greatest. You can like his material or not. You can like his personality or not. He's actually a very nice man. You can not like his language. You can all of those things, but you can't doubt his authenticity, and you can't doubt the fact that man can interview somebody for 3 or 4 hours. It's unbelievable, the job he does. So, social media, you look at that, you go, because I consider YouTube and Rumble and all that. Social media, you go, okay, well, I'm going backwards. I'm losing viewers. Whether it's YouTube taking them down or not, it doesn't matter. So I look at that and I get a little bit disappointed, and I go, I'm giving this thing everything I got, and we're going backwards. What's the deal? I said to Miss Colleen the other day, I said, I'm working harder than I ever have. I think I'm working smarter than I ever have. I'm certainly doing more than I ever have, and it's not moving forward. My biggest goal with it is for enough people to continually, every single episode, to hear the gospel and the good news and the truth of the word of God in a way that hopefully I make it understandable, and that it grows every week, even a little bit, just a little bit. What empire are you building? Maybe it's career identity. Look, I don't know, I'm retired, but disabled, but I seem to be doing this and reading all day long. What about your career identity? If you're in it, look, you got to work hard at your job. The worst thing in the world is for Christians to not work hard. Don't tell somebody you're a Christian and be the laziest person on the job. Be the hardest worker. Be the most dependable. Career identity, sometimes that's your empire. How about reputation management? Look, I just want people to think I'm great. Are you great? Not so much. In God's covenant, you don't have to strive to make a name for the kingdom. He'll do that. Your job is trust. Trust Him. Trust what He tells you to do and do it. His job is greatness. But our job is to trust. Trust and obey. The old song, trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. There, I just lost another 900 followers or subscribers by singing. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus. I have found that trusting him and doing what he tells me to do is the thing that gives me the greatest happiness. Covenant as faithful obedience. In verse 4, so Abraham went as the Lord had told him. No hesitation. Abram doesn't have the map, just the call. No map, no hesitation. He jumps. He asks how high on the way up. Doesn't even ask. He doesn't even ask how high on the way up. He just goes. This is what Hebrew faith means. I talk all the time about Hebrew faith and the difference in the Hebraic worldview and the mindset. I talk all the time about it, and this is why in the postmodern Western evangelical church, we base everything on the easy thing. We based everything on what's in it for me, what do we get out of it? I pray this quick little salvation prayer. I don't really have to do anything else. This is what Hebrew faith means, not mental agreement, but loyal action. Abram trusted God enough to step out without all the details. I want to tell you right now, there are little Jewish Hebrew boys all around the world right now, little boys in Hebrew school learning Torah. Every word, every pause, every single word of the Old Testament, they're learning every single word. You know why we still have the scriptures today? Because the Jews, the Hebrew people, preserved the word and the traditions. Sharon always says that you can't see how far the roots reach out from a mighty tree. You're reaching people right where they are, and that is vital. Keep obeying. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for that encouragement. Look, faith today still looks like this. It's not a feeling, it's a decision. I hear people say all the time, well, I went to that church and I just didn't feel. You know, I sat through the worship service, and I just didn't feel. I don't know, it just didn't make me feel any sort of way. And I'd say, well, wait a second. Were they singing? Like, was it, what kind of music? Well, I mean, you know, I've been to some churches that the band was banging. They got like 3 or 4 bands or 5 bands and to go with their 27 services. And you know, the video feed wasn't so good. And you know, I don't know, the smoke machine, it wasn't great. There was like too much smoke. And then afterwards, you know, it's so much you can't see. And well, how was the preaching? Oh, I mean, it was good. Oh, okay. So then why did you leave? I don't know. We weren't feeling fed. We just weren't feeling it anymore. Then they go to this next church. Preacher's lights out, but he's not fancy. Let me tell you what. I went, and Miss Colleen will bear this out. Steve and Colleen Wood, 2 amazing human beings. I'm telling you. Marysville, Vineyard Church of Marysville. Or Marysville Vineyard. Nothing changed me more than that. Nothing. Never in my life has a worship experience, a sermon experience, an attendance experience ever changed me more than that. And I love my church. Grace Community Topsail with Pastor Steve and Kyle and so many others. I love them. Love the worship team. Love all of them. We don't have smoke machines. We don't have any of that stuff. Nothing fancy. It was a good, solid word. And people that love you. But I'm here to tell you, Virginia Creek Church, where I preached, is this Monday? Yesterday. Love those people. Love Pastor Russ. Love Miss Kathy. I love all those people. They're lovely people. I love it. I love preaching. There's no smoke machines. There's nothing super fancy. Doesn't have to be. Solid word. Good hymns. Good songs. Look, I don't want you to think I'm against worship music. As much as people like to throw rocks at me for liking Lauren Daigle, I'm telling you, I think she's amazing. Does she do everything perfect? No. But I'm here to tell you, if you're going to a church because of a feeling, and you leave because that feeling isn't there, is the preaching solid? Well, yeah, it's real solid. Okay. Now why you go to a church? Now look, if the bathrooms are nasty, if there's spiders all up in there, and stinks like bad stuff, and it's dirty, and the nursery's dirty, maybe you're being called to that church to clean it. Maybe you're not called to that church to turn your nose up and go, well, this dirty, it smells like urine. It smells like dirty diapers. And then storm off as you stomp the spiders on the way out. Maybe God's called you to that church to say, hey, I'm a pretty good cleaner. Maybe I could help y'all out. So I'm just telling you what, we have a little one, and cleanliness of the nursery is pretty important. Safety of the nursery is pretty important. Just here to tell you, maybe you shouldn't turn your nose up so fast. Maybe you should go to the leadership of the church and humbly say, hey, you don't know me from a soap stick. You don't know me from Adam. But these are some things we noticed. We don't just want to complain. We want to help. We're pretty good at this. Maybe you give us a couple of months to help. I know you don't know us. Faith today still looks like this, like what Abram did. It's not a feeling, it's a decision. Same way with love in a marriage. It's not a feeling. It's a decision every day. Sometimes the decision is harder than others, trust me. Miss Colleen has had to make decisions every day for 24 years. I'm not the easiest one to love, if you know what I'm saying. I'm a hard guy to be around. That's a decision somebody's got to make every day. God, I don't see the full plan. I don't see the full picture. I can't see the map. I don't see around the corner, but I'm going to step out anyway. Where is God asking you to move from agreement to action? Remember what I said yesterday. In the Hebrew worldview, you cannot separate words from action. As you are talking about walking, you are walking. Your feet are moving. Let's talk about the altar and worship. Verse 7, Abram built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. In the ancient Near Eastern culture, this was normal. Altars were public statements of allegiance. This is to whom I belong. Abram didn't just worship privately. He left markers of God's presence in enemy territory. Everywhere Abram went, he built altars. What are the altars that you're building in your life? How do you publicly mark that you belong to Him in your home, in your workplace, in your digital spaces? Worship is not just what we do in church. In fact, I would tell you, more than anything, worship isn't just what we do in church. It's the visible sign of our covenant. It's what do we do when we leave the church? I remember there was a church I went to, and I can't remember which one it was. It had a little sign there that says, you are now entering the mission field. Now, look, I know that's not original. There's stuff that pastors and churches subscribe to, and, oh, hey, have this Sunday, do this observance, and put this sign out there. They have to help each other out. Nobody wants to reinvent a wheel. I get it. But it's true. But if you're going to drive like a fool, never using your signal, never using your lane change indicator, and you never do the speed limit, you're always speeding, you're always being rude, you're always waving with your angry finger, don't tell anybody where you go to church. You do more harm than good. Till you get that resolved, don't tell anybody you're a Christian. Not that I'm saying you have to be perfect, but look, you can manage to drive the speed limit, use your, observe the laws of the road, and be polite and careful. Same way, you pull into a parking lot, Don't be like, oh, that's my spot. And there's a bumper sticker, follow me to 27th Baptist Church or 27th Episcopal Church or 15th whatever church. No. I've seen people behave like that, and I almost want to just get over there and take my non-existent fingernails and peel that sucker off. Leave a little note on the door that says, hey, don't advertise for the devil on your car, because that's how you behave. When you go into the grocery, be kind to people. Good lands, kindness is free. You say, well, they were rude to me last time I was here. Was it the same person? Give them another chance. Ask them, say, is everything okay? I've done this. Miss Colleen can tell you. Doyle can tell you. I've done this. I've stopped them mid-sentence. Have somebody waiting on us. And I say, hey, is everything all right? Everything okay in your life? You really seem like you're struggling. Can I pray for you? Not making fun. Not being a smart aleck. Literally. Can I pray for you? You seem like you're really in the struggle of a lifetime. And I want to help you. Can't fix everything, but I can pray for you. Can I pray for you? And usually by the time I get to that, tears are streaming down their face. We've had people literally, their knees buckle and they sit down and they're bawling and they're worried they're going to get fired from their job. And they say, nobody's ever said, nobody's ever asked me, could they pray for me? Everywhere you go, those are the altars you're building. How? How do you publicly mark that you belong to God? That's the visible sign of your covenant. There was failure in Egypt, folks. Verses 10 through 20. Abram faced famine, fears for his life, and he lies about Sarai, and Pharaoh rebukes him. Abram falters, but God's covenant does not. God intervenes to protect Sarai and the promise. Look, this is good news. Covenant people are not perfect people. Folks, I am not a perfect people. I am jacked up. I've got hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And maybe you've messed up too. Maybe you're not a perfect people either. Maybe you've compromised. Maybe you weren't at your best on an occasion or two. That's why I always say, don't be so quick to throw public people under the bus on their worst day is in plain view of the whole world. Don't be so quick to throw those rocks. Put those rocks down. And maybe as you develop a pile, instead of throwing them, build a monument. Build a monument to God, the one you serve. And then instead of gossiping or throwing rocks at them, minister to them. God's faithful. Look, thank God that God's faithfulness to me doesn't hang on my perfection. God's loyalty holds even when our loyalty wavers. Friends, if you're being blessed by this teaching, leave a comment, click the thumbs up, won't kill you, share it with somebody. Visit truewordfaithforlife.com. You're going to find resources there, my book, True Word Faith for Life, and exclusive teachings. They're there to help strengthen your walk as a follower of the way. Listen, I have for you today a challenge and a choice. Abram's call is your call. God still says, leave behind the old securities and follow me into covenant promise. Leave behind the old securities and follow me into covenant promise. Now here's the challenge. What do you need to leave? What old securities, what old identities, what fears are you holding? What fears, hurts, habits, and hang-ups are holding your covenant faithfulness? Your covenant faithfulness. It's our path. It's what we're called to do. But we let old securities and fears hold us back from covenant faithfulness. Well, here's the choice. Will you cling to that Tower of Babel I talked about on Sunday? Or no, one before that. Will you cling to Babel, trying to make a name for yourself? Or will you step into Abram's faith, letting God make his name great through you? It starts with placing your faith in the hands of the one your faith can be entrusted to in the whole world, the one. If today you are feeling that tug, that desire to trust God with your life and step into his covenant promise, pray with me in your own heart right now. God, that's right, just pray, address him, let him know who you are. He knows who you are, but just let him know who you are. And let him know you know who he is. God, I'm tired of living life on my own terms. I've tried to make my own name, my own security, my own plan, and now I'm empty again. Today, I choose to trust you. I leave behind what's holding me back and I turn toward you. I believe you sent Jesus to bring me back into your covenant family, to forgive me, to renew me, to give me new life. Fill me with your Spirit. Teach me to walk in your ways from this day forward. My life is yours. Lead me, and I will follow. Amen. I will help you. I will help you. Right now, if you prayed that prayer, you've made the most important decision you've ever made in your entire life, and I will help you. Just contact me through truewordfaithforlife.com. Under the Contact Me page, leave a way for me to get a hold of you. I promise you, I'll help you with next, and it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, but people think, oh, what do I got to buy? Nothing. Beloved, Abram's call is still echoing through the ages. God is still saying, go. Trust me. Be mine, and I will bless the nations through you. Live as a covenant partner. Live as a blessing. Live the faith of Abraham. Until Thursday at 7, when we'll be back here live again. Shalom. Shalom.